Sometimes it can feel like mastering your emotions requires you to meditate for a couple hours every morning or find yourself in a retreat somewhere in the Himalayas or in Bali. I hate to break it to you, but that's wrong. Those things sound lovely. I meditate quite often and I have aspirations to retreat in the mountains. But I was realizing that a lot of my anxiety and overthinking, especially as a dad and just in my various roles as an individual, didn't come from what I wasn't doing. They kind of came from what I was doing on sometimes a day to day basis, right? So these 5 habits, completely normal habits that I'm sure you all will relate to. I found myself doing these consistently and being stuck in a rut over and over when it comes to my emotions getting too high or too low. So, in this video, I'm going to break down those 5 normal habits that I quit. Some of them I'm still trying to quit. And I feel you probably do these on a day to day basis as well. So, quitting these habits will completely help you have better control of your emotions. If you're new to my channel, my name is Odini McBean. I am a mindful fatherhood coach and I help dads build calm minds. I help them parent more mindfully, build stronger habits, and also just build a deeper connection with their children and their families. So without any further ado, we're going to jump into normal habit number 1 that you should quit. And that is going to be stop over parenting, stop trying to control all outcomes in your children's lives. Of course, I would start this video with a parenting thing I quit. And let's be honest, this is one of the hardest thing to do. And sometimes I still struggle with this, but I'm so much more intentional about this than I was in the years prior as a father. And you know what I mean, right? Trying to be just that over all consuming parent, that over all consuming dad. You micromanage everything, and essentially you want your children's script to play out how you're writing it. And I'm dealing with this heavy right now with my son, right? He's 14 years old. He's an 8th grader. He has a lot more autonomy just over his normal life than he did a few years ago. And it's very natural for me as a dad, as a parent, to want to have a thumbprint on every single decision that he has to make, on every single choice that he has to make in his life that could potentially bring him what we're looking at it as harm or happiness, right? Peace or disturbance. And that's taken a lot for me to let go of. Even if, you have younger children, I also have a 4-year-old daughter, and there are certain things that I am trying to just ease up on when it comes to her and not just be so micromanaging of a parent. Now, when you talk like this, sometimes people, what they hear is just let your kids do whatever they want to do, right? And we need to make that distinction. This is not let your kids do whatever they want to do. This is treat your children like they have some form of independence and just kind of let the natural flow of emotions go and see where it takes them, while also being a skillful parent, right? So being a skillful parent and parenting intuitively from your intuition is a lot different than saying, you must do this, you must do that because I said so. Hopefully that makes sense to you all. So that's the one thing I would say I quit. And sometimes I'm still trying to quit that for good. I'm human, right? So sometimes I still have my thumbprint all over what my children do and the things that they are pursuing. But I've learned to truly let them do their thing and stop trying to control the outcomes, because in the end I'm only going to be the one that's suffering when they choose something else, right? So why get so attached to these outcomes when you're only going to be the one that's hurt if it doesn't go your way, right? And you can also leave space for them to learn as well. All right, my handy dandy list is here. So the second thing that you should quit, and this one is for sure probably one of the biggest ones for me that I'm actively working on. And that is quitting eating, I call it low vibrational food or junk food. Just quit eating trash food, ... Here's the big thing, because you want to please others. That's the biggest thing that is it's so crucial for you to understand this. Everyone has their own goals. The people who you go out to eat with, however many times a week, and they're eating fried food, they're drinking alcohol, they have their own goals. It may not be health related, but they have their own goals. And I guarantee you, they're not going to let you stop them from achieving them. So that's the mind frame that you need to have when you go out with friends or you go over your friend's house, you go out here and there, and everybody is making you feel lame because you're choosing to eat healthier options, or you're choosing not to attend because you don't even want to put yourself in that environment. This happens to me all the time when it comes to work events. I'll go to a work happy hour and everybody is just ordering, high fried foods, right? Just bad foods for your system. And you don't want to look like the bougie guy. You don't want to look lame. So you kind of are just like, oh, I'll have that. I'll have that. And next thing you know, you're like stuffing yourself with over 2,000 worth of terrible calories because you just want to fit in. And I think that's something that we have to stop doing. Like the reality of it is, and I'm no doctor here, but from what I have read and in my own personal experience, the reality of it is your gut, I think, makes up like 95% of your serotonin or something like that. So essentially what that means is, in lamer terms, what you eat impact your mood. What you eat impact your emotions. What you eat impact your brain, right? So if you're just eating trash consistently, you're not going to be the high achiever that you want to be. You're going to feel very sluggish. Whenever I go on a roll of eating amazing whole foods, non-processed foods, and I fall back into a day or two or three or four, who knows, of eating junk food, my energy completely goes down. I don't feel like making these videos. I don't feel like going to work. I don't feel like doing my client calls. It's just not a good look for me. So I'm sure you all feel the same way. We call that cheap dopamine, right? Anything that you do that you enjoy, that you think is a reward, but at the end of it, you feel bad, you feel some sort of shame, that's cheap dopamine. And eating junk food is cheap dopamine, especially eating junk food because the people around you unintentionally sometimes, right? Unintentionally make you feel like you have to do what they're doing. For example, I'm going on 2.5 years of not drinking alcohol. No, I'm past 2.5 years actually. April of this year will be 3 years since I've had alcohol. And I can't tell you the amount of times I've gone out with friends and I get laughed at because I'm not drinking, right? I can't tell you the amount of times I go out with friends and I may order a Heineken Zero and I get laughed at because I'm drinking the Heineken Zero. But I can't fold. The reason why they're laughing, only they know that. I can speculate as to why, but only they know that. But for me, I can't let that determine how I'm going to treat my goals. I can't let that determine how I'm going to love myself. So I say all that to say, do not bend or fold when it comes to your health goals, especially what you're consuming into your body because you want to please others. Number 3 normal habit to quit is, that's a big one too. Quit suppressing your truth to try to be peaceful or to try not to have a hard conversation. I have dealt with this in the past. I was like in a dynamic where a woman I was dating, I was not a fan of the relationship with her ex-boyfriend. Just wasn't the right thing for me. And I sat on this for quite some time, maybe like a week or two, just pondering this, ruminating about this. And I was going to try to let it go, right? In my mind, I was like, I'm going to lean in with trust. She says that she's not doing this and she's not doing that, then I'm going to lean in with trust. But then, she advised me that this is something that she doesn't see herself changing, the dynamic. She doesn't see that shifting. And I had to essentially say, you know what? Here's the reality. This is the boundary I have. I don't necessarily feel like it's an insecure vibe I'm giving. I do feel like it's I'm just not comfortable vibe, and I'm going to share that with you. Right. And we addressed it then and there, as opposed to, 6 months down the line, 8 months down the line, a year down the line, I'm bringing this up in arguments, or I'm bringing this up when her and I are not seeing eye to eye, or I'm resenting her or something like that. Right. So I decided to kind of nip it in the bud and say how I felt. And this could be, you can use this in any part of your life, even as a father, even as an employee. You can use this, right? How many times you've been at work and you let people kind of essentially say what they want to say to you, but you don't say anything back because you fear that you're not going to look a certain way you're projecting to be. People would just walk all over you if you just suppress how you feel. And once again, who's going to suffer? You will. They won't, right? They won't suffer. You're going to suffer, right? It's like I love this Buddhist terminology framework where they essentially say, listen, you can hold on so tightly to resentment. You can hold on so tightly to not liking someone or feeling a certain way about someone else. And they have no clue you feel this way, and they're just fine. They're laughing, they're ha, they're kikiing, and they're fine. Who's the one suffering? You, right? So just remember, don't suppress your truth to try to be like a peacemaker. That's essentially the third thing you definitely have to quit. The fourth thing you have to quit, I know you hear this all the time. I know you do. And that's doom scrolling. I mean, especially in the morning and at night. This is like one of those things people say in every video, and I wonder, do they really take their own advice? Why do I wonder that though? Because it is a real issue. Like this is the one of those things where 50,000 people will give you this advice and it happens to be like the real deal advice. Now, whether they are actually implementing it in their own life, I can't sense that. But what I do know is I'm being way more intentional about this. Sometimes I sleep with my phone. Sometimes I'm in my room and my phone is downstairs in the guest room or in the kitchen. Sometimes the phone is all the way behind me or all the way over here, and I have to get up to turn the alarm off, right? I don't want to go to sleep doom scrolling. I don't want to wake up doom scrolling. And I'm just going to be honest. This is my honest reflections and my honest experience. It's in my experience that when I do that, especially at nighttime, I don't want to do anything productive the next day. That's just the reality. I don't care. Like, I just don't feel like doing it. It's draining. It's another example of cheap dopamine. And I know you've been there and I know you can relate. It's cheap dopamine. Just don't do it. I can't say this any more clear. Quit that. Am I perfect? Do I go 30 out of 30 days without my phone in the bed? No. Do I go a lot of days without my phone in the bed? Yes. And I'm continue to be better. Right? So that's the fourth thing you should quit is doom scrolling, especially in the morning when you wake up and at night before you go to sleep. In the morning is, I feel like, even worse because the night before you could have a great day, hit all your goals. You had a very intentional day. You were productive. You were awesome. And then you wake up and you doom scroll for an hour, and then that sets the tone for the entire day. Not just at work, but for how you show up as a dad, how you show up as an individual outside of fatherhood. That's just how it's going to play out. Trust me, I've been there and I'm sure you have too. And the last one, the fifth normal habit that you should quit is quit seeking external validation. I talked about this in a couple of videos prior. It is a prison. External validation is a prison, especially if you just are yearning for it. And that could be in any role. That could be as a father. That could be as an employee, that could be as a friend, anything, a coworker, whatever the case may be. Stop seeking external validation. There's been so many times where I just kind of missed great opportunities, great relationship opportunities, great business opportunities because I was so worried of how I would be perceived by the outside world. And that just is something that we should stop doing. And also, I'm aware that every single thing I said on this list is very hard to do, right? Who can just wake up and say, today I'm not going to care about what this person thinks of me. Today I'm not going to want the best for my child, so I'm not going to hover. No, like that's impossible, right? So I'm not here to say this is something that you should not ever do, like ever. And if you do, you are a terrible person. I'm here to tell you that these things are normal. We all do them and we feel terrible after we do them. Every single thing on this list, even the first one about being a micromanaging parent, right? There are moments where you feel like, I feel like I did too much there, right? So these things make us feel bad after, right? So why not try to be more intentional about erasing these things or at least minimizing the amount of times you do these things to help you with your emotions, because every single thing I listed here goes back to your emotions. Every single thing, right? And if you want to be somebody that's, at a high frequency, you want to vibrate at a high frequency, the number one thing that will ruin that is being very, very low on how your emotions are. If your emotions are charged negatively, right? Or if you just feel bad for yourself every day, right? And these things affect your emotions. So once I truly was intentional about all of these things, the relationship with my son and my daughter thriving, my relationship with health and food thriving, my relationship with my business thriving, and I'm also able to have like more hard conversations now because I'm not suppressing my feelings. So hopefully this was helpful for you, and I will see you next week. Please check out the 365 Dad Journal. Link is in the description, and send this video to anybody that may find it helpful. See you next week.